I was having coffee with a church friend this week at the John Hancock Center when a poor person came up and engaged us in conversation. I offered a friendly smile and he quickly asked for some money. After he went away disgruntled, I explained to my friend that I've been trying to see the humanity in people, but unfortunately, everyone else seems to be much more interested in getting a dollar. Welcome. Welcome to Sunday Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. At Sunday Coffee Hour, we talk about everything and nothing. This Sunday, we talked about getting a divorce from your sofa, how there doesn't seem to be any color in the world anymore, and about filling an empty container. The readings at Washington National Cathedral were from Acts. The Spirit of the Lord filled the house. And from Corinthians, there are a variety of gifts through the same Spirit. At Washington National Cathedral, the sermon was by Reverend Leonard Hamlin on Pentecost, the birthday of the church. He said the communications department at Washington National asked him weeks ahead of his sermon for the major themes that he'd be preaching so that they could get the word out on social media, draw interest, and maximize the algorithms. Mr. Hamlin cited Riverside Church pastor James Forbes, who said, "The Holy Spirit has already made the proclamation before the preacher even enters into the pulpit." We are a people in a quandary about the present, in spite of all of our troubles, not instead of, or besides of, or in denial of, but in spite of them, because the Holy Spirit has already proclaimed it to be so. Peace be with you. At Riverside Church in Rockford, Illinois, the sermon was about building our treasure in heaven. If we know there's a treasure in a field, we're going to scrape together enough money to buy that field. But heaven, nobody seems to be all that interested in scraping up enough money to buy a piece of that because we're all so busy trying to pay for stuff in this lifetime. Ayn Rand said that all relationships are contractual, whether written or implied. When we give money to a beggar, we're buying the idea that we're a nice person or a good person. But when we recognize someone's humanity, well, that can be tantamount to stealing. But this is exactly what we do in church with the LGBTQ trans alphabet list. They're selling us a whole political agenda in the name of God. And if we don't buy it, well, then we're a bad person. Ironically, there's nothing inclusive or equitable about that. It's a complete scam. At coffee hour at Riverside Church in Rockford, I chatted with Diane, who was apparently a longtime member of Riverside. Diane had a lot of balls up in the air, and it was tricky to follow her narrative. The basic refrain in all of it was they're all gone and they're not coming back. And I wasn't quite sure if she was referring to the pandemic narrative or the kerfuffle they had during the last pastor transition at Riverside, or even the earlier history of transit of Riverside, which included a schism in that church. But I got the gist of what Diane was saying because it was Pentecost. It was similar to a conversation I had with Betty Bergstrom a number of years ago at Fourth Pres. It was actually the only conversation I ever had with Betty. Betty, Betty and I were, it was at the end of coffee hour, and we were actually just all alone, just Betty and I in the middle of Anderson Hall. Betty was an amazing person. She was instrumental in rewriting the Illinois state constitution, and she had been a prominent and very active member in the church. Betty and I had a very lucid and cerebral conversation. And I was like, wow, I love Betty Bergstrom. I was disappointed to learn shortly after this that Betty was admitted into the dementia ward at the Clare. We can all experience the same thing in life, but that doesn't mean we're all having the same experience. None of us can be less enough of ourselves to make enough space for everyone else to be less enough of themselves. So we might as well stop trying. If we all had a dime for every time we actually noticed how blessed we are to have been in the company of such amazing people, well, you know what? We'd probably all have a lot of dimes. If you would like to join us at Sunday Coffee Hour, Sunday Coffee Hour is every Sunday at 12 noon Central Time on Zoom. I will include my email in the description of this video. I'll be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.